for being arrested for something like that. And this was my Char. Did you
Woo!
really ask Kai that question? Did you really even have to ask that question? I thought I just nudge at you a little bit, just kind of poke at you because I knew
And don't drop the soap.
yeah, he would rot in jail, right? Then throw away the key, like
Dude, look, don't ask me to be a witness for you because you rotted.
oh God. So yeah, so what happened was okay. Let's just make sense of this. Angela was this is not her first rodeo with jail though, not prison, just jail. But she was in and out throughout the marriage because, like for example, she would get so heated with Mike, get so upset with Mike that she would relapse on her alcohol. One time, as a matter of fact, once she relapsed and she got so angry, she threw a horrible fit. And she's no longer that sweet, adorable, spirited Angela that we talked about initially. She grabbed a bottle of cough syrup and she downed it like in less than like 5-10 seconds. Whatever she could find, because
Good Lord.
isn't that crazy? He locked the alcohol up in the house, obviously, because he's a substance abuse counselor. So I get it. He wants to keep him from himself as well, right? But she would just lose it. It could because Mike was always doing something. Well, I can't totally blame it on him, but he would often you trigger these outbursts. I'll just say it that way. So uh, she was in and out of jail when these outbursts would happen. He would actually call the cops, like call the police and say, "Come and get her. She's crazy. She needs to be taken away for a couple of days." It would become physically aggressive, and so I guess he would act as if he's fearing for his own life or for his own safety. And so with Angela being back and forth in jail between prostitution and anger management issues, can you believe that she was also discovered to have 26 different aliases? Now, Kai,
Oh, wow.
you and I and our listeners have just discovered and experienced this with our first show with Audrey.
Yeah, that was one confusing behind story, boy.
Oh my God, it was crazy. So, yeah, Angela, 26 different aliases because every time she would be arrested, well, okay, let's back up a little bit. Is it possible that she would give all of the different imaginary names of these imaginary people, being creative because she didn't want her husband to know when she's arrested that it was her? Oh, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. What I mean is, her
Okay, so were the aliases during her marriage or before it?
no, this was during her marriage. They were saying that she was. See, the marriage didn't last very long. It looks like it was less than 2 to 2.5 years or something like that. So they both have a lot of demons going on throughout, or struggles throughout this whole marriage. I'm thinking that she didn't want her husband to realize her secrets, especially with the prostitution. So if I say my name is Kimberly Johnson, I mean, you can book me that way, even if I don't have an ID. You can still book me that way. You'll take fingerprints and obviously match them up to who I really am. But maybe she figured that was a way for, maybe he wouldn't find out. I don't know, but they definitely said that she was prostituting during her marriage. And of course that's a dangerous decision to make for a career, a side career. It's crazy. And it will get you thrown in jail, if not once, if not twice, dozens of times. You get out, of course. So between all of that, and she was probably doing a little drugs on the side and maybe getting caught with purchasing drugs as well from whoever, as a reason for her to have so many different arrests and aliases. So that's really crazy. See, when I first came into this story, Kai, I'm thinking that all the burden was on this particular was on the murderer. When I say the burden, I mean all the shame. It's kind of like, how could you kill your wife? You know, like what would possess you to do that? But they both were in their own way. They both were just crazy people that really were very disrespectful to each other. So oh my goodness.
Well, I don't want to say they deserved each other because um, mm, you could still walk away from the relationship, but one is
Hmm.
crazier than the other. So I don't know. We'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely. I do agree with that. And also, too, let's just keep this in mind. Substance abuse does change, it does alter not only personality, it alters ego and decisions, it alters your entire attitude. You really do believe maybe that, you can believe you're an entirely different person, or you can act as if you're an entirely different person. Because according to the friends that they interviewed in this report, and people that knew her and worked with her in the past, they all said that she had a beautiful personality. She was just a lovely person. But so they as a matter of fact, they were very surprised when I was looking at the interviews that she even had this dark side, that Angela had such a dark and disturbing side of her. They knew that she had a issue with alcoholism. Everyone knew that. But it was kind of like, oh my God, like, who are you? Who are you? And find my friend Angela. I don't know who you are. This is what happens when people do drugs and alcohol. It just completely changes their mindset of like how they can't even think. You don't think straight. That's crazy. Now here's something else that kind of leads to the fact of Mike's character not being a realist, because he's giving off, I'm the nice guy. He's giving off, I'm the savior. You're an alcoholic. I want to be your savior. Let's run off on a beautiful white horse together into the sunset. Let me marry you and give you this lavish life. I believe he was giving off a lot of other vibes, but check this out. Early into the marriage, Kai, Angela discovered one day she was in her kitchen, just minding her business. Maybe she was going to eat an apple or something to make a sandwich. But the computer is up. The laptop is up on the counter. And so she gets a little closer and she discovers that he's chatting with several other women on a dating site. Like, she's looking closer, she could see the messages, and she decided to look at a few of them. There wasn't just one, there was more than a few women. And she's like, oh my God, I don't believe this is happening. And before she had a chance to totally process it, Mike walks back into the kitchen. And
Wow.
yeah, and he can see clearly that she's standing in front of the computer. It's not like this happened. She walked away and just kind of like, how you pace and try to make decisions in your head. What should I do? How should I handle this? He walked in as it was happening in her head, like as she's actually gathering this information. And so she was understandably, she was very upset, very upset. And so he assures her, he says, oh, sweetheart, those were old profiles from years back. And I didn't even know why, I had.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, isn't that that's like the oldest trick in the book, though, to say, seriously, let's see, I almost started to do that myself because, well, what I mean is I have a profile on several dating sites out there, and I never close them out because I just stopped using them. So I'm not saying I didn't log out. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I never closed them out. So it's kind of like, if someone did find that, they would definitely think, Char, is this what you've been doing on the side? But I honestly haven't taken a look at any of those sites in years. But at one time I was active. So I can see a guy using that excuse too, because I've heard that before. Not necessarily in my relationships, but definitely with friends. And even I was watching some kind of a judge, like divorce court show, and the husband goes, oh, honey, it's been years. I don't even know why. Well, he didn't say years. He goes, those were just profiles I had before you, before our relationship. It's kind of like, really.
And you just happen to have this up, or just why is it here?
Yeah, but why? Yeah, why is it active though? You actively have the messages up, so you're opening them up. You're doing something because you're obviously curious. And so he says, she told her, this is what she said to him. She says, Mike, listen. She says, listen to me. Please do not lie. Do not lie to me about this, because I am very, very weak emotionally. I'm telling you right now, I am extremely weak emotionally. I will not be able to handle this in our marriage right now. Because once again, it's already bad enough, the fact that he was cheating on the computer with these women. But let's keep in mind that they hadn't been married very long at this point. See, the prostitution, what's happening throughout the marriage. But when she found, oh, that's another thing. The fact that she realized her husband was cheating with so many other women, maybe he was taking some of that affection away from her. And maybe that's another reason why she thought she can find affection from strangers, over time, because early into the marriage, this man was caught cheating. You just can't, I mean, you can't lie. She's looking at the messages. I'm pretty sure they were graphic enough. And, it was kind of like case closed, Angela. This is my excuse. This is my wolf story that I'm going to tell you if anyone's ever heard that expression. That's what we say in Vegas.
Yeah, I've not heard that before.
Yeah, it just means you're making up stories. There's a fairy tale or fable that says, when you cry wolf, like the little boy that cried wolf, like help, help, help,
Yeah, I know that one.
twice or three times, and then no one believed him, and then finally, it's kind of like that. So, all right, so the other thing about this couple that was to me was kind of nice. Like I've always wanted relationships where we can have another couple that we're friends with, and we go hang out and do double dating together. Do double dating together. We go out and double date together, or we do fun things and activities together. So Mike and Angela had several groups of very close friends. It wasn't like they just had this one, group of friends. They had two and three groups of very, very close friends together. They would enjoy like double dating activities. They would go eating out. They would go to festivals together. They would definitely go out to car shows together. It was just something that they all enjoyed. So to kind of get things boiling again with Angela, well, Angela and Mike, I should say, but they're at a dinner party one night in April. In fact, the date was April the 17th, 2010. Okay. The couple, they were invited to dinner to the home of their friends, Nancy and Craig Haverly. Nancy and Craig Haverly were very good friends with Mike for years. So then when he brought his new bride into, well, at this point, she wasn't necessarily a new bride. I guess you could say newlyweds, though. 2 years is still newlyweds. But when he brings his bride to them and says, hey, this is my bride, her name's Angela, so they did that way before. So for whatever reason, Angela just clicked with Nancy. And that was perfect because, Craig and Nancy were already close to Mike. They were already good friends. So it just seemed like a fun, just like a fun rapport for all of them. And so one night they were invited to dinner, nothing unusual there. They would do this all the time, dinner parties and at their home, dinner parties at friends' homes, all of that. So during their dinner conversation, Mike starts bragging about one of his prize cars that we talked about. Okay. And Angela says to her friends, oh, I'm definitely taking that new Corvette out for a ride. I mean, she was just excited. She goes, as a matter of fact, Mike and I are going to Hawaii. We have a brand new puppy, and I'm definitely taking that new Corvette out for a ride. And her friend is like, whoa, 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 Angela, you've got a lot going on there. She's teasing her, right? She goes, wow, that's a lot that's coming up. There's a lot going on right now. And so, but believe it or not, her friend's husband, Craig, Nancy's husband's Craig. Okay, so Craig says jokingly to Angela, he goes, oh, Angela, he told you, didn't he? He told you. Because actually, this is what happened. I gotta rewind to that part. Sorry about that. So imagine she says, I'm taking that new Corvette out for a ride. And then Mike says, oh, no, you're not. You're absolutely not touching that one. In other words, like maybe she can't drive, or do I trust her with the car? That kind of thing. But the way he said it was kind of, a little mean sarcasm. So that's when Craig says, "Ooh, Angela, he told you." And Angela jumps up from the table. She's like, "What? What is that supposed to mean?" Like, seriously, this is exactly what happened. So she jumps up from the table and she picks up her glass of wine or whatever she was drinking, some type of adult beverage, and she throws it down. She breaks the glass, it shatters everywhere. And as if things could get any worse, right? The husband gets close to Angela. He goes, I don't even know what you're so upset about. Why don't you calm down? What's the matter with you anyway, Angela? This is crazy. He's like, Mike, do you see how your wife is acting? Do you know that Angela bloops him? She socks him. Bloop. She like socks the friend's husband. Like just boom, just punches him right in the face. Right there.
Wow.
Yes, and then
You know, if anybody, like, if that happened